What's up, y'all? I'm very happy with how many questions came in for this and appreciate everybody that participated. I got a good list of questions from both the Discord, the Facebook page, and I'm going to start answering these questions right away. So let's get into the first one. Of course, pork chops are good, and as you know from playing T&M, they're even worth assassinating somebody over. So I was actually exclusively on the DX editing forum back in the day. I was recruited by Jonas once the project had been active for a few months, getting things organized and stuff already. And how it was back in the day, we would always chat on MSN Messenger about the mod, and specifically, I would talk to Jonas while making a map, and we would constantly be bouncing ideas back and forth off of each other, and that kind of helped with getting the map set it up exactly how we wanted it. And of course, we sometimes bickered back and forth about how something should be, because I was mostly focused on how the map should look and play, and he was more focused on the story. So sometimes those things collide, but overall, it all worked out. We also had a group chat we would get into every once in a while, and we would play games together and also use it to just talk about the mod as a whole, how things were coming together, textures, maps, coding, models, all that jazz, the music, everything. We would all just chat about it to make sure we were all on the right track. And we'd just be in there BSing all the time too, that kind of thing. So I would say out of all of them, my favorite ending is going to be a pretty vanilla answer. It's going to be the Planet Deus Ex faction ending. And the reason being is I think it's the most level-headed ending to keep things, status quo in the forum, kind of as is. With the setting, there aren't really that high of stakes for the situation that needs to be changed, like absolutely drastically, like everything needs to change no matter what kind of scenario. Because you want the forum to keep existing as is. It's a Deus Ex forum. You want to just keep posting about Deus Ex and having fun without, I don't know, like your data being used incorrectly by GameSpy or stuff like that. So removing GameSpy and the people being in charge of the forum again, which is the moderators, got to keep things civil. That's good. The World Corp one is, I would say, my least favorite, because that's like a megalomaniac trying to take over strictly for himself, and you're clearly set up to just be a pawn in his plan, basically. So I think off the top of my head, he kind of alludes that he's going to make you like a big wig and keep you in charge and whatnot, but it's scary. Like, I don't foresee that happening. And then another one, the Ryan ending. I have a somewhat similar view on that one. Just it's another face character behind it. He plays it up like he's gonna make everything an even playing field, and what's the word for it? Okay, yeah, but basically he's gonna come out on top. I mean, when you think about it, when everything destabilizes, PDX is gonna go haywire, World Corp is gonna go haywire. So it's only going to be ABI left with their big military complex up in the mountains, and they're ready for action, like clearly military force. So who's going to step down into Forum City and take everything over? Probably the dude with all the doggone commandos running around ready to fight a battle. You know what I mean? So that's another one where he plays it off like he's going to keep everything neutral and not take charge, but with how he is and how his character is presented, I foresee him pretty much saying, "Oh, well, this is cool. Guess who's in charge now? This guy, the boss baby himself." So something I would change, if we can go back to the 2000s again when we're developing this, would be so Ryan's just after badmouthing him, Ryan's side, his neutrality ending, as you can call it, I would make that show up in the story sooner. So say you're going about your day on day one, and you make your faction choice. Scare is screaming at you, or King Cash is telling you don't set foot in my building again. Da 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 da. While you're going about your business, you just get a message from, and it can work either way. It could be like, oh, a mysterious figure messages you and says, "Hey, I need you to do this objective for me," or it could just be Ryan saying, "Hey, I just know that you're here. I would like you to do something for me if you could." And then you could do a mission for him that seems pretty, neutral. Like say he wants you to go to a base and take out some guards or disable the security, and then he gives you a monetary reward or says, hey, here's a cache of items, go grab it. So that would be cool to kind of like set up that a little more, and then we could also introduce like mechanics of, if you do plan to help him, doing all those missions would result in it being easier for you at the space station or something like that. And then another thing I would have happen is after day 2, there would be a big turn event where you did have an option to set, like say you're a PDX guy, and then you come out of the ruins, and there's one last chance for you to be like, hey Scar, okay, I get it, I'm down, I have what we need, I'm willing to come join, and then you would do a different mission. So that would be cool. I would have liked to have done that. And then another big one is, if you look at our very, very old content, like when it was first announced, there was video footage of the player running around on the space station, and you can see that it's standard fare enemies, like human enemies that are up there. So I wouldn't do that, just make it another group of baddies with another uniform on. I would make it more human-like though. Like the gray is set up to be an animal in the game, so it's very simplistic what that entity itself can do. So adding in, like even adding conversations to it was a chore. Like there's a character in the med bay that actually yells at you. Because I think it's just like, I think it just plays like a sound clip. It doesn't even come from that character. Anyway, it would have been nice to make it a little more robust with the ending of our game. You know what I mean? Like going from fighting all these different characters and everything, and then all of a sudden you're just fighting Greys. They're very weak, so it would have been cool to have a more stronger enemy. So I definitely would have changed that somehow. I mean, just thinking about it, I don't know off the top of my head what I would do, but it would definitely be something different. My favorite character would definitely be Skara, and it's really because it's just how much of a goofball he is in comparison to everybody else. I mean, he has some genuinely unhinged dialogue sometimes, and is a constant aura of self-confidence when he's talking to you. And the running meme of him constantly mispronouncing the name is funny, and then that even ties into something that happens in the game with mispronunciation of Trescon's name. Trescon gets stronger, so that's funny with the implications with that. But yeah, he's always yelling and screaming, just making me laugh. The ugliest TNM character, huh? So that's, I mean, I think they all look pretty cool, but my big thing about a situation like this, modding in general, like all games, is I like mods that are in the setting and actually like fit well. So, like for instance, the World Corp Commando, the DXI or DXA guards, like all those guys that look like their textures could fit right into Deus Ex. Those are the kind of textures that I like. So the one that I don't like the most because of how it looks is Endar. So he pops up at the end of the game. He's Ryan's right-hand man. He's got this like almost neon teal jacket, and he has on this weird like muscle shirt that looks weird, and his pants are like bright teal as well. So it's just like, it's the textures themselves are done well, but I just don't like the way they look. I mean, a giant teal trench coat, it just seems kind of odd to me. So we never once discuss a sequel. Every once in a while someone would be hyped and doing what they're doing and think, oh man, we're near the end, are we gonna do anything else, haha. And no, unequivocally no. The story was set up to where once you finish the mod, that's the end of the story. Trescon is just gonna go do his thing in the end and just be Trescon on the forums again. So for me though, I did have a couple ideas of some extra stuff that I wanted to do personally, like prequels instead of sequels kind of thing. Like I wanted to make it so that another character showed up before Trescon. It was when the old PDX building wasn't bombed, you would go there. It was when World Corp wasn't as a monopoly as it is in the city, in the current world of TNM, that kind of thing. And I think I was really the only team member that really had an idea about that, because a lot of the other guys, they actually went on to make actual games. There was other guys that just, okay, we're done, let's go do something else now. I just have always been rooted in the Deus Ex modding community and just didn't want it to stop. So the problem with that I remember I wrote this like a design document about it, like detailing the story, and there was this. I think it was I think I based this kind of off of on the Off Topic Productions website. We used to have this block in the bottom right where there was like a user written story, and people would write into it and add stuff, and they were alluding up to this part where there was like this central part of Forum City that was like controlling of everything. So like a core basically. So there was this enemy plotting to go destroy the whole city by destroying that core. So I was like, yeah, that's pretty cool. Let's see if we can use that for a mod. So, but see, here the problem is back then I was like, I knew level design and that was it. I knew how to do like tertiary stuff like making packages, but I didn't know how to like write Unreal script. I didn't know how to do mission scripting. I didn't know how to do all the odds and ends that's required for modding other than level design. So that idea kind of went up in smoke. I did make a kind of like a comparable version of kind of like a more of a Western theme World Corp, or not World Corp, Planet Deus Ex HQ, rather than the clear Asian theme that we got from the Ghost in the Machine mod. So it was kind of similar in design, and that was kind of like me saying, hey, yeah, this is how I would have done it, guys, anyway, because I remember showing it to the guys, and they were like, yeah, this is a cool idea, we just don't have time to continue working on anything TNM related. So what I probably should have done, if I really wanted to go forward with it, is ask in the community, hey, who wants to help me out, kind of like what happened with 2.0. So yeah, there was no idea for a sequel coming up, no nothing like that, but that was my idea for a prequel. The most difficult would have to be downtown, and that's really because it was the first map I started, and I kept to that method of doing everything in chronological order. So with it being the first map, I didn't really have an established order of operations yet. Like, hey, we research the map, we play both sides of the map, and then we explore, see if there's any odds and ends that we need to match up. Because something that happened with the way the dialogue works in the Nameless mod is everybody was kind of worried about the maps being bigger than vanilla Deus Ex maps and having more objectives on one map kind of scenario. So they were very, very descriptive with the dialogues. Like, so it would say you'd walk up to some dude in military fatigues and he'd be like, hey man, I need your assistance. Go to this Air Force base and meet this person. And off you go. Phew. But in the Nameless mod, it's, hey, I'm this guy. This is a PM, by the way, or data link in conversation. Hey Triscon, come meet me by this alley, which is by a basketball court on the east side of the city. Okay? And then when you go run up to him and say, hey, yep, there he is, he then says, okay, so what I need you to do is there's 3 generators, they're 500 feet apart from each other, you need to go blow them suckers up. And the problem with that is, like, when you're doing a project like this, is you need to make sure to match all of those directions. You need to make sure to match that, okay, 500 feet apart from each other, crap, what does that mean? And then make sure to get all those little intricacies put in. And when I was making downtown, I didn't do a lot of the research behind all that. So there was like the goat building, the abandoned goat building where they're holding the unconscious llama guy. I just happened to build that in the correct location in the northeast side of the map from where the llama temple was. Thank God I did that, because I remember specifically I made that building and then started branching out and making the rest of the map, and it all was just working. I got a crap ton of it done in one day. So what the issue with that is I got so busy with that side of the map, I just straight up forgot to do the drainage canal, or the ship canal that's in front of the old llama temple in the old map. So there actually is some pretty important stuff in there, because later you go meet the ship captain of that ship that's sitting in that water. So in the new map, there ain't no boat. There's no boat for the captain to reference. So I was just like, well, crap, that sucks. So I have this little bit of space, so let's put this little drainage canal in there. So at least there's a canal in there. So so yeah, like I said, that was definitely the hardest one I dealt with because I still did have to go back and change a couple things that were like minor to make it match the directions and the setup of the old map, that kind of thing. So but with that canal, there was no way I was going to be able to backtrack and shove a giant canal in the center of that map. I mean, it sucked, but it just had to work out that way for that one map. But after that map was done and we realized the mistakes that were made, that's when we became much more careful, and developing the rest of the maps got a lot more easier after that. So Gandaya in the PDX HQ map, he is a guy that wrote articles back in the day on Planet Deus Ex website. Specifically, he wrote Got Gand, and he was also just a normal news person on the site as well and wrote regular articles. But Got Gand was something of the times back then, man. It was the type of humor. It had the random type comedy. And it was set in the Deus Ex universe, with Gand being an NSF terrorist captured by MJ-12 in a super secret underwater base, and he would just be a goofball, and the comic revolved around all the antics he did, and he would just make crazy statements and use Photoshop to draw goofy stuff in the Unreal Engine pictures he took regarding what was going on in the MJ-12 base and whatnot. So. But I mean, unfortunately, Gand, he passed away in 2009. Like right after the mod was released, he had an accident. And I just hope before that happened, he knew that he genuinely brought a lot of joy to the community. Because I mean, I remember even on the forum, because that was another thing. I liked Got Gand back then. That was my kind of humor back then. So I would specifically seek out stuff on the forum about it, and he would talk to people about it, and people would reply and be like, "Oh man, I'm looking forward to the next one." And I just hope that made him feel cool, that people were actually anticipating his joy that he brought to everybody. So the two big ticket items that were cut was I planned on making a TNM multiplayer mode, and we actually had Bogey back in the day. He made, like, you know how, well, if you play DXMP, there was a little character selection screen. It showed little portraits of the characters. He actually made up a bunch of those based on TNM characters, and it was basically going to be just like DXMP, but TNM related, where you would get the TNM weapons and the TNM like grenades and all that stuff that pops up in the game, but just like the multiplayer. And we were gonna have custom maps for it and everything. And I was gonna have a deathmatch, team deathmatch, and then I don't even remember what I planned on calling it, but a game mode where each faction had the black box thing that you get for a couple missions in TNM, and you had to run up to their side of the map and toss that sucker onto a computer in the map, and then hack it, and then your team would have to protect it so that the other team couldn't come back and counter hack it to stop it, and whoever managed to get theirs done would win. So I thought that would have been cool, but I mean, that would still be possible, but it's one of those things where we just don't have the player base. Like even regular DXMP, there's maybe like 5 or 6 people that play regularly, and then every once in a while there'll be it'll maybe jump up to like 9 or 10, and like including if someone finally convinces me to play. And another thing is they're very set in their own ways, the current community, where they pretty much just play one map and with one setting. So trying to convince those guys even to play another brand new mod game mode for DXMP, that's not going to fly. And then another one that I really wanted was, because I always love co-op. I'm the type of person that if a friend wants to play co-op, I don't care what the game is I'm playing, because I just like that. So I was gonna have 2, again, prequels coming up again, 2 prequel campaigns, one where you're PDX commandos and one where you're World Corp commandos, and you would go about doing your thing in the missions together, and it would set up for either two players, and there would be like, I had it set up to where to keep it less complicated. It was two named characters, and I remember two of them had very distinct personalities, and then there was just two generic commandos that would be there if you want to play with four players. So basically, it's two people and then two extra buddies hanging out, um, and just like mirroring the original development process of the Nameless mod, the PDX side was done first. So how it was going to work is you would start in corporate, and you would be tasked with going to World Corp HQ in a covert way. You can't just walk in through the lobby like you can in the Nameless mod because you're a commando team. You have to infiltrate it and find out where an underground tram is to get you to Rydberg Field, which is Skara's private military airport, right? And then once you're there, your objective is to plant like trackers on various aircraft around the airport. But while you're there, you would learn information that World Corp has a freighter coming from Planet Doom with technology for them. So you get orders from HQ. Oh shit, we gotta solve that nonsense. And then you take a helicopter out to the freighter, and then your objective is to disable deck guns on the ship so that when it comes into Forum City, it doesn't just blow away Planet Deus Ex stuff. And then once that's disabled, you would then reroute the freighter to a Planet Deus Ex faction port instead of the World Corp one. And then that was then going to lead into that's where the actual technology for the BDE cannon would come from in the old server complex. And then after that, you get back from the ship, and then you learn that I don't remember if it was going to be in that actual freighter area or it was going to be a different map, but there was like another group of PDX commandos that betrayed PDX, and they were going to try and get the technology back for them as like a last-ditch effort. And then you would pretty much stop those guys from doing that, and that'd be the end of it. And then that is going to lead into, in like the outro sequence of the co-op campaign, it was going to lead into why the firewalls were brought in, because due to the personality matrix and how Deus Ex works and whatnot, it was found that a basic AI structure for the PDX forces was going to be better, so that PDX could keep running the forum without issue. Because by default, there's intrigue, there's mystery, there's conspiracies in the Deus Ex community. So that's why the commandos betrayed PDX basically. And then the World Corp one, I didn't really make much of it yet because I wanted to see if we were going to even manage to do this, which we couldn't. So those were the two very, very big ones. And then another one that popped up that I would have really loved to happen, and maybe still will, but I highly doubt it, is I would have liked for at least something multiplayer related. So I really wanted like prop hunt put into the game. So Unreal could do it. You can change entities on the fly like that, but that's outside my wheelhouse. That would have been something for Hawk to do. So I still think it's kind of at the point where it's just not going to happen, unfortunately. So working in this engine for 2.0 definitely was limiting, and the biggest one is the AI. I mean, this game is not really set up for this type of like equal footing humans shooting at humans with basic guns kind of scenario. The Unreal Engine really thrives on the classic outlook. Like a lot of the guns in Unreal were projectile based, and it did have hit scanners like the Enforcer pistol and whatnot, but there weren't that many, and they just weren't as good as, say, the flat cannon or the 8-ball gun, that kind of stuff. And then the enemies were specifically coded to be able to leap, jump, move, and do their thing as like monsters. So that's why if you compare the two, Unreal Combat is so much more interesting and thrilling. Because you're not just waiting at a door with a machine gun waiting for the other human to walk around the corner, and then his buddy comes around, and then his other buddy comes around. So, and then another thing about that, speaking of doors, is the way pathing works in this game is you got to set up a little path node network for the AI to snap onto, basically. So the AI can get confused and caught on stuff very, very easily. And like, say you have like a path nodes that go around a corner, like a box in the middle, and they go to the side and up. A lot of times these idiots will try and like cut the corner. So they'll go here, turn, and then get caught on the corner, and then just walk into it until they slowly go around. It's very stupid. And then the engine really does not like experimental stuff. Like if you make a mover door that's more complex than just a friggin' rectangle sliding out of the way, sometimes they mess up and they'll like interact with other geometry and just start blinking. That was a real bad one that I hated a lot. And that's also why a lot of times you'll notice if you play the old version and the 2.0 version, sometimes I made doors really, really complex back in the day, not caring about the doors blinking or causing an issue. But I would, nowadays in the 2.0 maps, they're just basic rectangle doors, because why focus the detail on these doors that are just there for world building purposes and to create a delay and obstacles for you, when you could focus it on more cool stuff in the scenes. And then another thing is the node limit. So the node limit is basically like a cap on how much geometry you can have in a map in very basic terms. And we almost hit the node limit like three times on some maps, and then we hit it on one of the GameSpy space station maps, and that sucked because I had to pretty much go around the whole map trying to find things that could be deleted and then rebuild in a totally different method to try and get the node limit just below, well, to get the nodes just below the limit. So that was awful. So yeah, there's definitely been some limitations. If possible, of course, but they specifically went the exact opposite of 180 of the original Deus Ex, and there's barely any functional modding tools for the new Deus Ex games. But beyond that, if it were a possibility, yeah, I would, because the engine does look nice and it fits the bill for what Deus Ex is doing. I would try and limit, like as I call it, the press Q to win, like the takedowns that Jensen can do. I would try and limit that somehow, because I just don't like that idea of you just being able to chew down candy bars and run up on people and just take them out instantly while being invulnerable. So they have a similar system in the new Doom games, but at least you are still vulnerable when that happens. So it's not really just, yep, I win, sorry, get out of my face. And a lot of people actually have gripes about the new Deus Ex games, how it's not like faithful to it. But I mean, think about what Deus Ex is. It's hey, here's a conspiracy. Here's your defined protagonist. Here's your vents. Here's your alternate paths. Here's your cool tools. Now send it. I mean, new Deus Ex meets that. There's a lot of conspiracy. There's fun gameplay, and there's fun things to do in all of the maps. So it would be cool to do if possible. So if I were to say that one of my favorite secrets is one of the 3 hidden maps, I would kind of be cheating. So I'm not going to use one of those, but it's something that I'm working on recently. In day 2, if you look around in an area off the beaten path, and you will find a new character who's actually pretty prominent if you keep your eyes open on some of the Deus Ex related posters around the game. Like there's Zodiac, there's Frozen Hell stuff, there's vanilla Deus Ex movie posters. An antagonist from, as I say all the time in Discord, the thrilling conclusion to the Deus Ex trilogy. Has a newly established home base in Forum City somewhere, but he won't let you pillage that place without a fight, though. So it's I'll just give some little hints on it, because it's going to be something released in the content update coming up. Yes, that is something that is going to happen until the end of time, and Treskton will become stronger and stronger. So if you've played TNM 2.0, you know you got to be careful around mirrors because of that. Okay, that's all for now. Thanks again everyone for participating, and I hope it was fun to see some of the outlook I had for 2.0 and some of the history behind everything. See you all around.